Alright, today I'm going to review Stick to Drawing Comics Monkey Brain by Scott Adams, who you probably know best, if you know him at all, as the creator of the Dilbert cartoon, comic strip. He did a cartoon as well. Scott Adams has written a couple of books beforehand, 2 or 3. I've read 2 of them. I've read The Dilbert Principle and The Dilbert Future, back when I was just a wee teenager, young teenager at that point. I liked them, so I picked up this one in the bargain bin for under $5. However, I wish I hadn't. The title is accurate. Stick to Drawing Comics Monkey Brain is what he should have done. He talks in the first introduction to the book that only 10% of everything he tries works. This is part of the 90% that didn't. It's in very little kind of bite-sized chunks. Each chapter is a page or two, no more than 5 pages long. And they're all kind of random thoughts. He recommends reading them in no order whatsoever, something I couldn't bring myself to do. I read them from cover to cover, although I don't think reading them randomly would have helped, because I did a little bit of that when I was reading them in the store. I was just wondering why this book existed. As I was reading it, about halfway through, I just kept going, these are stupid things. He's just saying random stuff that kind of pops into his head. Who edited this? Why does it exist? And then I noticed a little tiny little thing right here on the front page, right in there. I doubt you'll be able to read it because it probably won't focus. But right in there, it says, most of the contents of this book first appeared on the author's blog. And that's the problem. This is a blog book. The problem with blog books is that blogs should stay online where they're free, and it's okay if they aren't, if you have a bad post every now and then, because you can just wait for the next one. And you're not paying for something. I paid money for this, and I could have read the entire thing online for free if I wanted to, and I wouldn't want to. After realizing that there were some other clues that it was a blog book, he kind of talked about how he would post certain of these questions on his blog, and then he'd write about the answer in the same chapter, although each chapter is really a blog post. And then I realized that there was because I was reading them in order from first to last, there's definitely a chronology to them. He'll talk about something coming up, and he'll talk about it happening, which if it was all one book kind of written all at once, you wouldn't get that sort of time delay reaction. He also talks about people's responses to earlier chapters in the book. So if I read this chapter, then 20 pages later I read his reaction to the responses that people wrote on his blog about it. That's really useful, except he gets the word blog out of the book when referencing the stuff written in here. It says, I wrote this chapter, from my BlackBerry. He wrote this blog post from his BlackBerry. A lot of the humor in here, Scott Adams going, I don't understand how the world works, or everything's crazy but me, and even makes fun of that stuff as well. But a lot of the humor is like the old joke, the little black box joke. They've got a little black box on the airplane that isn't destroyed if it crashes, and well, why don't they make the whole plane out of that box? Of which there are many numerous very intelligent answers, so the joke is only funny if you don't know the answer, if you don't know that there's a reason they don't actually do that. So it's a joke where you seem smarter than other people, except you're not, and that's what a lot of this is. He repeats himself over and over again. There's probably half a dozen different chapters about his voice issue, which he does have, a neurological voice issue. That does improve over the course of the book. So there's actually some plot there, whether you want it to be or not. That being said, there are some humorous bits. Maybe a tenth of the stuff, taking of his 10% of stuff that actually works, is funny. I laughed out loud at some of this stuff, but having to slog through the rest of it really didn't make it worth my time. So that's Stick to Drawing Comics Monkey Brain by Scott Adams. And this is Kevin Reviews Something Every Day for July 30th, 2009.